All right, we are live. We are live. Let's see. YouTube is. We have a few people waiting on YouTube. Are we live on YouTube? Please let me know in the YouTube live chats if you guys can see us, hear us fine. We should also be live on X as well. And speakers can also post this video, stream it to their channels as well. Yeah, this is great. Wow. First time. We have a few dozen people watching on X, a few people watching on YouTube. Wow, look at this, guys. This is great. I love it. All right. Hustle Town says audio is good. Ethan says, let's go. Perfect. Yeah, you guys can hop over to YouTube if you want to participate on YouTube live chat and say your piece as well. We're going to go through the say.com Tesla Q3 2024 earnings Q&A. We're going to go Tesla Q3 2024 earnings Q&A. Let's see, 1 second. Let me just check something on the technical side here. I was just warned that this is available. Customization. No, it shouldn't. This is subscribers only. Okay. Perfect. Smash that like button and repost. We're doing this on a short notice, guys. So repost this to your followers. Let's go through it. All right, Omar, welcome. Hustletown, welcome. Omar and Hustletown, both regular speakers. If you are a speaker on Tesla Live, Spaces on X, I sent a link to our DM group. You can go through that link to join us on the speaker board on StreamYard. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go through say.com Tesla Q3 2024 earnings Q&A one by one and see how many we can answer in the next hour and a half. Tesla tomorrow is going to answer about 4 or 5 of them. Maybe we can do more and get you these answers as much as we can the day before earnings. How about that? Omar, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hustletown, welcome. Oh, no.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. And you can also feel free to turn on your camera. You don't have to turn it off just because we did. Okay, Omar, let's start with question 1. Is Tesla still on track to deliver the more affordable model next year, as mentioned by Elon earlier? And how does it align with your AI product roadmap?
Well, this is really the trillion-dollar question. And I mean, frankly, it's a little bit of a giveaway of a question. They have mentioned this on the earnings deck, the past 2 earnings releases. I imagine they're either going to reaffirm their commitment or talk about it on the call anyway. So I don't think it necessarily needed to be a question, but any additional detail they want to give on this model, maybe even unveil it at this point, given that it's so close to production, could be big news. As we've discussed on your space, we don't know quite what this is. Is it a new entry into the product line that's sort of a mini Model Y, a more affordable model that's cheaper? Is it a more minor change to the existing 3 and Y? We'll kind of have to see exactly what kind of new vehicle this is, but it could be quite a big deal as we really look at their new products that they're introducing in 2025. They say that this more affordable model can get them from about 1.8 million units to 3 million units. So it could completely change people's forecasts for Tesla and automotive deliveries, depending on what it is. So any color on that, I think, could be very material.
Hustletown, would you like to say a few words on this?
Whether or not I think it's on track, I do believe so. I think we're going to see a Q2 2025 model that is going to be on the Model 3 and Model Y lines. Is it in line with the AI plans that Tesla has? I would say no. Elon would probably rather build all of the next line of vehicles without controls, but we need to get FSD on track. So, yeah, I can't wait to see
All right.
what 2025 has in store.
Thanks, Town. Omar, um, deliver the more affordable model next year. Is this the Mini Model Y, the Project Juniper, or is this the Cybercab with a wheel?
Think Cybercab with, well, in a way, it's none of those things, but it's probably closest to take the Cybercab platform, add a steering wheel and pedals, but build it on the existing Model 3 and Y line. So instead of 2026, 2027, it can be built in 2025. So if this is really what it is, it could be a game changer. It could lower the entry level price of a Tesla. Right now, the cheapest Tesla is about $42,000. That gets you to about $35,000 with the EV tax credit. If this thing's priced around $30,000, even a little more, they're going to hit that $25,000 mark after the tax credit, which is an entirely different price range compared to people who can afford a vehicle that's $40,000 or more. So, in a way, it's sort of the next step after the Model 3 in Tesla's decades long effort to sort of push down market with their products. And from what I understand, it's going to be a pretty incredible product with things like 48-volt architecture, steer by wire, but in a very affordable car that is still manually driven, but obviously runs FSD, has supercharging, has all the things we love from our Tesla vehicles, but in a new entry level model. And you've seen how well Tesla's done in China. They've been second only to BYD in deliveries in the Chinese market, and BYD has had a lot of success in the lower end of the market. I think with Tesla getting something like this out, something that's smaller than the Model Y, something more affordable, they have a chance at really being a much higher volume company. And I think in particular, the European and Chinese markets would be really receptive to a smaller, more affordable Tesla.
Very good. Thank you. I can't wait to hear more about it tomorrow on Tesla earnings call. Let's move on to the next question. And in the meantime, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and share the video with as many people as you can to spread the word and grow our channel with us. And if you're watching this on X, you're welcome to swing by to YouTube and participate in live chat. Say if I see a comment in live chat, I'm monitoring live chat here. A good insightful comment, I'll read it out as well. Okay, when can we expect Tesla to give us $25,000 non-robotaxi regular car model? I guess we kind of touched on this already. So you guys want to switch to the next one?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a repeat question, which is another reason why I said these aren't the greatest questions in the world. I think that for the compact, if you read what they said in the product plan, they said, we're moving it up. It's going to be made on the existing 3 and Y lines. That's going to result in us not achieving all the cost reductions we hoped for, but it's still going to be reduced in cost. So that kind of suggests to me that it's going to be more of a 30K rather than a 25K. But the version of the Cybercab with steering wheels and manual controls is actually going to start production before the Cybercab does, maybe even a year ahead of time. So this idea that Tesla is abandoning the cheaper car to do a Robotaxi without controls, I think is not really accurate. They're going to get this out ahead of time, and I think they just really want to keep it a secret. Obviously, they want to sell 3 and Y, and it's not like what they've done in the past, but they seem to be keeping their cards close to their chest and are going to unveil this very close to production, closer to production than we've ever seen from any other vehicle. But a lot of the components, the motors, the battery, the drivetrain, are actually shared between the Cybercab and this vehicle.
I had a quick question for Omar, if I could. Do you still think they're going to do it in the first half of Q2 2025?
I mean, that I have no idea. That's what they said. So I expect tomorrow they'll either reaffirm that target or, maybe they could say Q3 or something if they're running into some delays. But I would expect they'll probably reaffirm that target at this point. So a lot of people seem to believe, oh, well, they're going to produce the Cybercab for 30K, but there's no way they are going to produce a car with steering wheels and pedals for 30K. I mean, how much do people think a steering wheel and pedals cost? They're going to have another car that's substantially similar to the Cybercab with some controls added on. It won't be the exact same vehicle. You know, the Cybercab has the seats pushed back so people have more room. This is going to have a more conventional design, designed for people to drive it. But if they can make a 30K car without a steering wheel, they're also going to make a 30K car with the steering wheel. And they're going to do it before the Cybercab enters production.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next question. What is Tesla doing to alleviate long waiting times on service centers? We talked a little bit on the on Tesla Live, and we got to build more service centers, of course, but that can't be the only one, right, Omar?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really an opportunity to highlight a lot of the work they've been doing on service centers. The service center team is just iterating really fast. So, just today, I dropped my Cybertruck off for a collision repair. Someone backed into my Cybertruck, and I actually don't have to take it to a third party repair shop. Tesla now runs their own collision repair shops. So I was able to go, I dropped it off. I saw a new pop up that popped up on the screen giving me some tips on how to use the service section in the app once I dropped it off. They're really working on a lot of things to refine the experience. Is it always perfect? Are there sometimes, wait times that are too long? Sure. But these are typical growing pains, building new service centers, refining these processes. One thing that's really clear to me as a customer is they've been putting a lot of effort into refining the service experience. And every time I go, I see little things that they've added to streamline the process, make it simpler. And hopefully, this is an opportunity for them to highlight some of that. Doesn't mean everything's perfect or they don't need to build new service centers, but I think they've really getting into this more mature phase of their mass market era with the Model 3 and Y. They've really started to create a differentiated experience that is a strong selling point for Tesla now and something others can't match. They have a service network that is more extensive and more reliable than startups like Rivian and Lucid, obviously, but they also have an experience that's far more streamlined than legacy auto. When I had a BMW, I was calling my local BMW dealership and making an appointment and waiting in line. I love that I can just go into my Tesla app, type in what I need done, talk to them entirely through the app over text, get the estimate, approve it, handle everything, get notified that the car is ready to pick up all in the app, and see the status live in the same app I used to control the car. It's a pretty awesome experience that's only enabled by vertical integration. So maybe this could be a good opportunity for them to touch on some of these things. Probably a lot of people who are just investors don't know, but they've been iterating on the service experience much more rapidly than in previous years lately, and it's been showing.
All right, next question. When will Tesla incorporate X and Grok in all of the Tesla vehicles? Elon talked about this in the recent space, and he said it's not. He implied it's not a priority at this time. Anything to add, Omar?
Yeah, he did mention on Adrian Dittman's space that Grok is going to come to Tesla vehicles. This will be like sort of a Tesla voice assistant. You'll be able to talk to it just like you talk to other LLMs, and while you're driving, you'll be able to, communicate with it, get answers to questions, ask it things. Same thing you do with Grok on the web app or in X. The fact that Grok now has an API, XAI just released a Grok API, means it should be dead simple for the Tesla team to just use that Grok API, communicate with Grok, and then read that out to the user and turn the user's input into text and send that to Grok. So I could see it maybe as a holiday update or something. I don't know if they'll give us any timelines or anything like that, but I expect them to just answer this, if they do answer it, by saying, yes, Grok is coming to Tesla vehicles in a future update as a voice assistant.
you think as part of this year's holiday update, like in a few months?
It could be. It's really a relatively trivial addition. Like I could probably code it up for them as an intern. All you have to do is really call the API, get the response, and speak it out. We already have a system that can turn the user's speech into text. We already have a system that could read out text. All we need to do is just simply send it to the API, get the response from Grok, and read it out. So it could totally be in this year's holiday update. Maybe that's a little ambitious. Maybe it won't be until later than that. But it should be fairly simple now that the XAI API is out.
Okay, great. That's actually sooner than I thought. So let's see what they say tomorrow. Okay, anonymous retail investor asks, please. Wow, there's a whole police emoji too. That's amazing. Um, please provide an update on the semi. What will be the next stage of growth look like? When will FSD be ready? Okay. I don't think semi production at Giga Nevada started just yet in volume. They're still hand building them, right?
Yeah, I think it looks set to really start in volume production out of Nevada in 2025. Late 2025, second half.
Okay. Giga Nevada production late 2025, second half for the semi is what we're guessing. Let's see what they say tomorrow if they get to this question. And then when will FSD be ready? Um, when do you think we're going to see a bunch of semis in platoon, Omar?
I think obviously near term, they are probably just working on basic active safety features. Things like automatic emergency braking, lane departure, even just basic lane keeping assist, basic AP for the semi. Driving a large commercial vehicle is much more complicated. It's different, and you can't just sort of intervene the same way. So there's going to be a significant investment needed in getting in a semi truck to drive on FSD just as well as the other cars. But they are working up to it. They are doing it. You can see some of the sensors outfitted on the semi, gathering ground truth data for their model. So I think more immediately, just the basic active safety features are probably what they're working on. But they've absolutely set this thing up with the same computers, the same camera, everything it needs to eventually do full FSD just like the cars.
Okay, good. I see we have a few hundred people watching on X. We're also live on YouTube. And if you'd like to engage with others in YouTube live chat, head over to the YouTube channel. And for example, Jiffer asks, I'll put this on your screens, how many people are really using their voice assistant today on their phone anyway? Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think it'll be more important in the future, in the coming years. But Omar says maybe they'll push it out. Maybe they'll push out Grok to Tesla vehicles as part of a holiday update later this year, maybe next year. All right, let's move on to the next question. What's going on with the Tesla Roadster? This is a not a critical vehicle for the mission, and it's going to be low volume. So it's not. It's in the back burner for now. It's not a top priority. Is my take on it. Omar, what do you think?
Yeah, earlier in the year, Musk did have this tweet and he said, "Oh, we're going to have the Roadster this year," or something like that. Or maybe it was next year. I can't remember. And he seemed pretty excited about it. But it has always been the cherry on top. And if they're releasing a more affordable model, if they're ramping Cybertruck, if they're doing a new Model Y, you kind of have to wonder where's the bandwidth to do the Roadster. But they've just been sort of kicking the can on this for years and years and years. Eventually, they do have to get it out. But I'm reminded of the famous story about Steve Jobs, where he would take all the Apple executives on the retreat, and he would say, "What are our top 10 priorities for the next year?" And he'd get the executives to argue and make a list of what are the 10 most important things that Apple needed to do. And then he'd get a big marker and he'd cross out the bottom seven. And he said, "We can't do these things. Let's just focus on doing these three things really well." if you want to survive as a company in this business, you need to be able to say no. You need to be able to say, look, we're going to focus on these things. And the companies that just tried to say yes to everything, your Rivians of the world who said, yeah, let's do an SUV and a truck and a van, and let's do an R2 and an R2X and an R1. Um, they're the ones who are kind of in financial trouble. So it may be that they need to kick the can on this a little further, and that's gonna invite some criticism. People make fun of them. They'll say, oh, it's been so many years. But what are you gonna do? You got to run the business correctly. And of all the things they have on their plate, this is one that I'm very excited about, but probably the least important to the company.
Exactly. I didn't know that about Steve Jobs. Did you read that in the book, or how did you come up? How did you learn that? He would
I think
ask
I just read it
executives
on X.
top 10 priorities and slash the bottom 7. Wow.
Yeah, he would say focus is about saying no. To really do those top three things well, you have to say no to the bottom 7.
Okay. Next question. What's the plan for 2025? I'm guessing this person is asking more about how many deliveries do you expect?
This has to be the worst question of them all. What's the plan for 2025? I mean, think about what Elon's actual plan for 2025 is. Probably going to the moon, launching driverless cars. There's probably some new vehicle models we don't know about. They couldn't have phrased it in a more vague way. So hopefully we can talk in advance of the say questions next time, maybe on Tesla Live, and try and get people to vote for some more material questions. Like, for example, why are you not disclosing FSD take rates? What's the future of the Model S and X? Where do you see the vehicle lineup shaking out? Is Tesla still going to make cars with steering wheels going forward? Can you tell us more about the unbox process? There's so many things that we could ask management about that are
Yeah.
material,
Let's see if
but
there's
that
any
didn't
better
happen.
questions. Let's see if there's any better questions. But before we move on, would you like to throw out a guess for deliveries next year?
Um, well, gee, I mean, it really depends on what this new product looks like. But I could see deliveries of 2.5 million units next year, potentially.
2.5 million. That would be huge. Yeah, I think it's as long as interest rates continue to come down, as long as the Fed continues to cut rates, then we could possibly see that. Yeah, but the next year is going to be all about ramping up these new products too. So I guess we'll
Right,
see.
yeah. Well,
We'll
I
see.
mean, Tesla's guided that they have about 3 million units of capacity. I'm expecting a lot of that growth just to come from a revamped Model Y, which we've seen the 3. I think the new Y is going to be even better. You have, I think, some pent up demand. This is the most popular car in the world. A lot of people are going to want to upgrade to the new one. A lot of new customers are going to come in. I expect them to do a bigger thing for the performance like they did with the 3. So that alone is going to give you significant growth. I think the ramp up of the Cybertruck, it's going to be at more material levels of volume in 2025, and it's not going to be a headwind on margin, which will free them up as well. If they do get a $60,000 version of the Cybertruck out, that is something that I think can be a great upgrade from the Model Y for Model Y buyers. And then if they have the more affordable model, I would expect that to be probably low volume in the first year. But if they're building it on the existing 3 and Y line and they have a way to do that in a way that contributes to a much faster ramp up than we've expected, then perhaps it could be part of that growth as well. So overall, it's kind of hard without more details on the product lineup. A lot of these things, the Model Y, the new model, are still a little bit of speculation in terms of timing. But they, I think, say that they want to get to about 3 million units.
Okay, very good. We have more than 1,000 viewers combined on X and YouTube right now. I would like everyone to take a moment to like repost, subscribe wherever you're watching us. It really helps us grow and bring better quality content to you all. We have 5 speakers right now from Tesla Live coming to you on both X and YouTube simultaneously. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and repost on your respective platforms. Let's move on to the next question. So we're trying to go over as many questions as we can over the next hour or so, and try to get to the answers before Tesla management. You know what? Elon could just say, "Hey, watch this," and save himself half hour tomorrow. Okay. Elon mentioned unsupervised FSD in California and Texas next year. Does that mean regulators have agreed to it in the entire state for existing Hardware 3 and Hardware 4 vehicles? No. I think they qualified pending regulation. So this is an easy answer here. Anything to add, Omar?
No, in a way that was kind of a better question, but I don't think they have regulatory approval to actually do this. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a safe bet to assume that it won't happen next year,
yeah.
but the fact that they've even outlined it as a goal and said California and Texas, I think that is probably encouraging. I think Texas will let them do it next year, no problem. California will probably be the one that is going to give them a little more hard time with permitting. But if they can really demonstrate that they can launch the service, that it can be better than Waymo or even as good as Waymo, and that they have remote monitoring and everything in place, I see no reason why they shouldn't be allowed to pilot it, at least in some area of California as well.
Do you think the timeline of FSD unsupervised and robotaxis depend in part on the outcome of this election?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. I think autonomy is inevitable either way. But certainly, Trump is more friendly to Elon than the Biden-Harris administration. So I'd say autonomy is kind of inevitable either way. It may be accelerated more with one candidate than the other.
Okay, great. Move on to the next question. We're trying to go through as many questions as we can. We have an opportunity that the Tesla management team does not tomorrow. They have to get to a bunch of things and they have a limit of 1 hour. Let's see what we can do here. Can we get more details surrounding the Robotaxi, including how will Tesla deploy the fleet? Will it start with Robotaxi, then move on to a subscription model if you own your own Tesla? So will the service start with a purpose-built Robotaxi, the Cybercab, and then move on to a subscription model if you own your own Tesla? Man, these questions are not worded well at all.
Yeah, I don't even understand what he's talking
Yeah.
about. And to think this actually got, the most votes.
Oh, really? Yeah, 764.
No, I mean, it didn't make it. I mean, it didn't make the cut, but people are upvoting this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are hungry for more details on the Robotaxi service. We know that from our daily spaces. And I don't know if Tesla will share any details tomorrow, but we'll see. I mean, Omar, do you think they actually know exactly how they're going to roll this out at this point, or is it too early?
I mean, I think they have an idea, but they're really taking it sort of one step at a time. The process is fairly well outlined now. Like, we have real driverless services in California and Texas already. So all they have to do is just follow the same process Waymo went through. That's it.
Exactly. Truth to a T says, I'll post this on the screens. Regulators can't turn Tesla down if Waymo is allowed in these states, California and Texas. Do you agree with that take?
Well, of course they can. If they don't believe the Tesla system is as good, I mean, I'm not sure really who makes the decision on the permitting approval. But if Tesla comes to them and says, look, our software is demonstrating the same level of safety as Waymo or greater, and I really think it could be or greater based on what I'm seeing. And this is going to expand the availability. We can go to more areas. We can, help reduce traffic, etc. they can't discriminate, for example, because they don't like Elon Musk. They have to grant the permits equally. And they can obviously revoke the permit if there's any issues, but the framework has been laid for how this is done at the state level. They can follow that same path as long as they're there on a technical level. The regulators shouldn't and won't do anything to stop them. Longer term, what I really want to see is federal legislation that allows you to get certified once at the national level and then just deploy anywhere. So that would be the ideal regulatory structure long term and let us avoid going state by state in getting unsupervised FSD approved.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next question. Let's keep this tight. Will hardware 3 be capable of level 5 FSD at some point in the future? I don't know if it's going to be the first one that's capable, but
Yeah, I mean, talk about beating a dead horse, but for now it's running the same software as hardware 4. They have a unified model, and I think that's going to continue in the future. When hardware 4 is driverless, it probably won't be long before hardware 3 is also driverless.
yeah, there may be a few months in between, but sure.
And I think Lars did mention at the event to Kim Java that their plan was to allow hardware 3 to join the network as well.
Yeah. And Elon said the Giga Texas facility for training, they're going to be training hardware 4, AI 4 specific models at the Giga Texas facility, right? So that's coming up, but it's not online. Just said, I wonder if they're going to update us tomorrow on that.
I bet they will. It's maybe one of the most material things in the company is when they get that thing on and starting to train models, it's going to unlock another leap forward for FSD.
Yeah, if anybody has information on the Giga Texas facility that Tesla's building on the south side of Giga Texas to train AI models, please drop it in the live chat and I'll post it up here. Uza says, feels so weird that I can't emote on StreamYard. Yeah, I agree. I'm like looking for the laughing emoji. Anyway, moving on to the next question. When will Optimus begin shipping? It's a couple years out. They have to
Seems like it, yeah.
build a few hundred of them, then a few thousand, train them on their production lines, and then to external customers. So let's say 1-2 years each step. So we're talking 3-4 years probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue right now is they've got this really incredible robot hardware, but it's very expensive. So Elon saying long term it should be 20 to 30,000. So what does that mean? That means it's more than 20 to 30,000 today. It's probably closer to the neighborhood of 100,000. So you're really going to see Tesla eating their own dog food, deploying it in their own factories first. And then you're probably going to see commercial partners, same way they did the Tesla Semi deals with Frito-Lay and PepsiCo and Costco and others. You'll probably see others working with them on the Tesla bot. Then probably a couple years after that, they get a lower cost version that they can sell to consumers and small businesses. Maybe even re-engineer it, make a little cheaper version of the Tesla bot. Maybe that's not as capable as the more advanced version, and then sort of deploy that. So yeah, it's going to take several more cycles of iteration. I don't even think they're planning to make the current version a sellable product just because a lot of cost reduction is needed before it can be, I think, palatable to consumers. And of course, if it was really so good that it could go and work and make money and pay for itself, then you could still, I think, make it work even at tens of thousands of dollars. But where the software is right now, the price minus the value is still going to be too much for your average consumer.
Thank you. Okay, we have record participation right now, 1,300 people watching at once on X and YouTube combined. This video will be viewed by several thousand people. You can help us get to even greater levels. If you'd like, repost and subscribe to the channel. Help us get to our goals by year end. Okay, and give it a like on YouTube. Right now, we're at about 80 likes. Next question. Will all-wheel drive Cybertruck qualify for the federal tax credit in the near future? I mean, it has to. They have to get it up there. It's just that, it's at $80,000. If you add one thing on top of it, then you kind of don't qualify anymore. They must be working through the paperwork at this point, I'm guessing.
I'm sure they are, but depending on how the election goes, the EV tax credit may or may not exist. So honestly, life might be simpler without it.
Yeah. I mean, Cybertruck is already outselling every other electric truck combined, including F-150 Lightning and the R1T. And as Tesla increases production, they're going to be able to lower price of the Cybertruck even further to maybe $60,000. So at that point, Tesla is going to see tremendous demand because it's going to be taking a lot of share from ICE trucks as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're just flattering them, comparing them to electric trucks. I think the Rivian truck did 3,000. I think the Ford did 7,000. They did 17,000. This is what the truck priced at 100K. And those other models, some of them qualify for the tax credit. It didn't make a difference. People want the Cybertruck. It's that much better. So I think really we need to start comparing this to other gas-powered trucks. So what are some of the lowest volume gas-powered trucks? That's what I want to see them unseat next.
You think Tesla will have to increase production beyond 250,000 a year?
I think so. Just driving this thing today, it's the best Tesla in so many ways. The steer-by-wire is just incredible. The comfort of the vehicle, the size, it pairs really well with FSD. So I think demand for this thing is just going to continue to blow expectations out of the water. Everybody said, oh, Ford is going to outsell this thing. Rivian's going to outsell these things. Not one expert said this is going to outsell the Rivian and the Ford EV truck combined. But that's what's happened. I think it's pretty clear that this is a huge hit, more than the media wants to acknowledge. And I could see volumes in the US long term falling between 250 to 500,000 or more.
Yeah. And that's with today's technology. 4680 will continue to improve with each generation. The weight of the battery, the weight of the truck, the range of the truck will all continue to improve. So I'm excited for the future. All right, let's move on to the next question. What is the expected timeline on Robovan production? It's several years out. I mean, they didn't even provide a time. Yeah.
I know. I mean, this is kind of like, it was amazing that they actually had a working prototype, but let me put it this way, it'll be entering production after the Roadster.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right, moving on to the next one. Will Tesla shareholders get priority when it comes to investing into SpaceX, the future of humanity, once SpaceX goes public? I mean, let's see when Starlink goes public first. I don't think SpaceX.
Yeah.
Keep it private. Keep it private.
This is like saying, can I have a ride on a flying pig when pigs fly? Sure you can. I don't see them IPOing anytime soon.
Yeah. What happened to Tesla potentially investing in XAI? Kind of fizzled out with that idea.
I think they discussed it at the board level. They may be preparing something. Maybe the board said, look, this is too much of a headache after all that drama with the vote, but I could see them updating us on that on the earnings call as well if they did decide to advance discussions.
Okay. There was some indication of Tesla maybe selling the remaining Bitcoin holdings. So I wonder if that means they're preparing cash for maybe XAI investment. I'm not sure. Did you see that, Omar?
Yeah, that could be one potential thing they could do. They could also just be selling the Bitcoin to kind of boost the third quarter or the fourth quarter, enable them to offer some really strong incentives while still not posting a loss. So we'll see what they do. I think they're going to have a couple things up their sleeve. We saw it with the regulatory credits last time. They had strong incentives, but they also booked a huge regulatory credit revenue that was higher than normal. I think Bitcoin is another one of those sort of tricks they can have up their sleeve to offer really competitive incentives, but still be confident in sort of guiding the company to profitability. So I think they're really looking for a record Q3 and Q4, and a Bitcoin sale could enable that. Of course, just because they moved their Bitcoin doesn't mean they sold it, but it does suggest that there could be an action like that, even possibly in the third quarter, right? It's possible they sold it to somebody, but it didn't actually get moved, or they didn't actually, use the keys to move it until after. So I would say maybe it's a fourth quarter event that we're going to see in 3 months.
Okay, and Uzi has a comment in YouTube Live chat. Uzi, would you like to read that out?
Yeah, I heard that they're moving wallets so that they can potentially accept Bitcoin for vehicle payments. I want to mention that SpaceX also has about 400 million or 500 million in Bitcoin too. So outside of Tesla, MicroStrategy is the largest Bitcoin holder for corporate companies. So Tesla does seem to have a large investment in Bitcoin relative to any other company, like outseating Square as well.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Uzi. Moving on to the next one. Do you have any plans to expand Tesla insurance to more states in the near future?
No, because we're losing so much money on it that we don't want to expand it to any other states. Next question.
Why is just one more level? Why is Tesla losing? We got that question today in today's Tesla Live, actually, in the reply. Why is Tesla losing so much money? Is it just a matter of scale?
Their primary goal with Tesla insurance is to lower the market price of insurance for Tesla vehicles so that Tesla can sell more cars. Their primary goal is not to turn a profit. And you can see in some states, regulators require the insurance company to submit, loss ratios, things like that, give some basic financial information. And from what we've heard, they're not turning a profit. So I think that probably is the reason they said, okay, look, margins are under pressure right now. Let's not expand into any additional states at this moment. Maybe when things are looking a little better, we can continue that expansion. But I do love Tesla insurance here in California. I do wish they'd expand to all 50 states. I think it's going to be important for autonomy. But this period where margins have been contracting is maybe not the best time to expand into additional states with the margin profile they have on insurance today.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. These are questions Tesla is not going to get to tomorrow. They're going to take the top maybe 4 or 5 questions. We're digging deeper into other questions. Yeah, Tesla insurance is an interesting topic because it has a potential, and especially in recent years with insurance rates surging. But I think it's a tough business, and it's a business in which scale matters a lot. So, Tesla is only in a few handful of states in its insurance product right now. Maybe in future years it could play a larger role, but as Omar mentioned, maybe this is not the time to expand into more states just yet. Okay. Can we get an update on the lower priced vehicle models that are supposed to go into production early next year? Yeah, they'll talk about this. We already talked about it in a different question. skip it now on. Can you provide some clarity on the energy generation and storage business in the light of rapidly increasing power demand? Yeah, we talked in episode 206 about how some tech companies, actually, we talked about on AI amateurs, episode 12, how some companies are announcing nuclear deals. There was quite a bit of disagreement on this, Omar, in AI amateurs, episode 12. I don't think you were able to attend that part of it. And people are unsure whether, let me ask it this way. In the next 10 years, what percent of new electricity generation capacity will be solar versus nuclear versus natural gas?
I think long term, solar plus battery is really going to dominate, especially as the cost of batteries continue to fall. I mean, you just use basic logic, right? The inherent economics of setting up a panel, sunlight just shows up every day and you just collect it, right? Free delivery from the sky, as opposed to any other type of power where you have fuel needing to come in, even for nuclear, you need a very small amount of uranium fuel to start a reaction, you need maintenance, you need people working on it. The economics are very heavily tilted in the favor of renewables. The strength that nuclear has is that you can generate power 24/7. It doesn't matter if it's day or night or the wind is blowing or the sun is shining. And you don't need to buy a bunch of battery storage. So that's the advantage that nuclear has. The problem is it takes a long time to get a new nuclear plant running. There's a ton of red tape. And that's why you're seeing them announce these deals. These are actually for small modular nuclear reactors operated at the data center itself. So, whether this is actually going to be successfully deployed within a reasonable time frame, I think is still a big question mark. If it was done, it would be the first time we've ever seen a nuclear reactor running out of data center. I mean, this is kind of crazy futuristic stuff. But maybe it is going to happen. I think one of the most exciting parts of really this AI boom is just getting people to think really seriously about our grid, how we power these massive data centers, how we generate electricity. And there's just a tremendous amount of innovation and capital going in. You're seeing first of its kind deals like this to have nuclear on site.
Yeah.
So this is really going to be a nationwide thing where we need to revolutionize our electric grid. And, hopefully they can figure this nuclear reactor thing out at the data center. I think that would be incredible if they could get it to work. But long term, it's just really hard to beat solar and batteries,
But
especially as
solar and
battery costs
batteries,
fall.
okay, I see what you're saying. So that was my question, and you kind of answered that last bit right there. So you think battery storage costs declining rapidly will unlock solar's potential in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at what's happened over the past few decades. Costs have just fallen really consistently.
But I
And you
mean,
look at
it already, like, the battery storage already makes economic sense by a lot. So I guess my question to you is, why is it going to take another 5, 10 years if solar plus battery today is not dominating? What's going to change that will allow it to dominate in the next 10 years?
in many ways, it is dominating. If you look at new power build out, more than 90% is solar plus battery today.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Um, why are these tech companies announcing nuclear energy deals then? I mean, I understand it's just kind of headlines right now. They're not really that binding. Why aren't they kind of just building out farms of solar panels?
Having a farm of solar panels locally, it does take up more space. This is going to be kind of compact. I think the tech companies see this as just trying something new. Obviously, solar and renewables are going to be there. They can just buy electricity from the grid, and a lot of it's going to be generated by solar, by natural gas, by all those existing power sources we have. But having this new thing where you could have a small nuclear reactor at the data center. You look at XAI's data center in Memphis, they've been using a natural gas generator on site. So having like a nuclear generator on site where you can generate all the electricity you need at the data center without going to the grid, I think it's kind of an exciting new idea for how you scale this stuff out. Like so many times, the power is actually the limiting factor in building out these data centers. So I think they're trying something new. It's something that may or may not even work, right? Like none of these small nuclear reactors exist today. This is entirely new technology. So I think they want to support new technology. They want to kind of try this. And I do think nuclear is a big part of the solution, just because it's good at what renewables aren't good at, which is running power 24/7. And if we want to get to an electric grid where zero emissions are generated from the grid, I think renewables are going to be a big part of the solution, but nuclear is also going to be part of the solution.
All right, thanks, Omar. We have 1,600 people watching on X and YouTube combined right now. This is a record for Tesla Live. Help us get to even higher levels by liking, reposting on X, liking and subscribing on YouTube, and on both platforms, sharing with your followers. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's move on. We're going to do this for another half hour. If you have any questions, comments, please leave in live chat. I saw one from Rich Biro. Here's on the previous question, related to the previous question. Rich Biro says on your screens right now, I have the insurance, Tesla insurance, and it's improved greatly, and it's a much lower cost in Illinois. Okay. If you have Tesla insurance, leave a comment and let us know how it compares to other options in your area. Okay, move on to the next question. Okay, skipping that one. What's the status of Giga Mexico? That's not coming online, Thompson.
Yeah, they gave some color on that when they talked about the new vehicles. They said, look, we want to expand to our capacity of 3 million vehicles before we invest in new factory footprint. So for them to say, we think we can build 3 million vehicles with our existing factory footprint that are only putting out 1.8 million today, that's pretty significant growth they see in their current factory footprint. Only once we start to see that that's being utilized, I think does it make sense to invest in a massive New Mexico factory for North America.
Exactly. This was a hot topic last year, but things change. High interest rates still are around. I think we were expecting interest rates to decline by now, and even though the Fed started cutting rates, it's going to be a gradual process, it seems. So we'll see. Is Tesla insurance profitable, and are you facing challenges with expansion? Man, this is a kind of like third, fourth question on Tesla insurance.
I think everybody wants Tesla insurance. I mean, I've been a happy
Yeah.
Tesla insurance customer for a few years. It's really cool to see the safety score. They should make that available to everybody. But they've been saving me money for years compared to what I was
Dude,
paying before.
look at this comment by Rich Bira on your screens. He says, I save about $200 a month on Tesla insurance. That is wild.
And you know what the other great part is with Tesla insurance? They give you a discount the more you use FSD. So if you use FSD all the time, you could pay, let's say, $100 a month for FSD subscription, but then your insurance payment goes down $50 a month because FSD raised your score. It's one way that FSD can just pay for itself.
Exactly. Okay, moving on. Next one. Can you share FSD intervention data trends? If not, why not? There you go. Here's the question that you said they should be asking. They did ask it, just didn't get uploaded.
Yeah, it didn't make it up. I mean, that's not exactly the way I would word it, but I think if they had really great data to show us, then they would show us. Clearly, interventions are trending in the right direction. There's fewer of them, but you know, this type of data can be really hard to parse, and it's not just like this clean chart you can drop on the earnings deck, right? It's complicated. It's different in different places. So I think as they are turning the page on FSD, as they're delivering that intervention free every time experience, they're going to start being able to talk about it. But, as good as FSD is, I still hear from people more than ever, oh, it was going to crash into this, it was going to do this. You still are having those interventions, you're having those issues in different areas. People coming up to me at the 1010 event saying, hey, I've got this issue in Mississippi, I've got this issue in Wisconsin. So there is still a lot of work to go, as good as they've gotten. But I think as they make progress, they'll be ready to disclose in much more detail what they're seeing that's giving them confidence. They have made comments that say, as we chart out the rate of interventions, it's trending to, this level. I think, when the time is right, they can share that with us, share that with regulators, and they'll need to as justification to do unsupervised FSD.
Are you on 12.5.6.1 now?
It just came in, I think right before this. So I'm installing it as we're on the space now, and I'm going to test it out right after.
Awesome. Great. All right, next question. Will Tesla build LFP cells and packs internally? 4680 LFPs, maybe?
There have been some job postings that people have noticed for LFP 4680 cells. So it seems like the answer to this question might be yes. I would expect that the Cybercab is probably going to be using an LFP chemistry, and they would probably use LFP 4680s since we saw that it's using 4680 cells. This would be material, as LFP batteries are actually much lower cost than cells that use nickel, cobalt, manganese type cathodes. But it would then qualify for any sort of subsidies, any tax credits, the $45 a kilowatt hour manufacturing credit, to the extent that these things still exist. And it could get the starting price of an EV much, much lower. So this looks like it could be happening, and it could be very material.
Good. Thank you very much to Uzi, Hustletown, and JC for answering follow-up questions in YouTube live chat. I really appreciate that, guys. And a quick word to our sponsors. Tesla Live is proudly sponsored by Paymore, your trusted destination for buying, selling, trading, and recycling electronics. And Tesla Live is proudly sponsored by Joa, your go-to source for premium Tesla accessories. You can find Paymore at paymore.com or one of the 100 stores near you, and Joa on joa-life.com. And for Joa, you can use TSLA Live at the checkout for a special discount. Thanks, Paymore and Joa, for supporting Tesla community. Okay, we're going to do this for another 20 minutes, and then we're going to call it a day. Any questions, follow-up questions, drop it in live chat. We have 3 other speakers from Tesla Live answering questions. What are current miles per critical intervention or FSD versus where they were 6 months ago? Where will they be 6 months from now? How can you catch up with Waymo at 17,000 miles per intervention? Yeah, Omar and I, we dug into this FSD versus Waymo topic a lot in a 30-minute one-on-one deeper conversation series. That video is on YouTube, on our YouTube channel at Value Analyst One, and I highly recommend people watch that. It's also the most successful video that we have on the channel. So people really want to know about this FSD versus Waymo topic. Omar, would you like to say a few words?
The question people should be asking is, how is Waymo going to catch up to Tesla? I mean, Tesla's now showing off unsupervised driverless rides at their event. They're planning to launch it next year. When's Waymo going to be able to ship a $30,000 driverless car? Go check out my Waymo versus Tesla comparison video. Watch the way the wheel jerks on the Waymo. Watch the way the Tesla just navigates completely smoothly. Watch how the Waymo has issues speeding down in the school zone, and watch how the Tesla has no issues at all. Watch how the Tesla can get on the highway and drive on the highway and got there 10 minutes faster, 20 minutes compared to 30 minutes. And watch how the Waymo had to take surface streets because they can't drive on the highway driverlessly. So, this idea that Waymo is so far ahead, how's Tesla going to catch up? I don't want to completely put down Waymo and say it's not impressive that they're driverless. Obviously, it is. But there's a lot of hot air in the claims that Waymo is ahead. In many ways, Tesla's doing things that Waymo can't do. You know, I recorded 100 minutes of real rideshare riding in my Tesla. Many of the places it went and drove without intervention. The Waymo can't go there. So Tesla, I think, is going to dominate. This is not the market understanding right now. The market believes Waymo's so far ahead. How's Tesla ever going to catch up? But when you really dig into the details, you see that Tesla really is leapfrogging them in every way. And, you know, someone had a video they posted in a Waymo, and the Waymo was turning left, and there was traffic coming, and the Waymo tried to turn left as traffic was coming. It stopped in the middle of the lane. Everybody was driving around. Obviously, the rider was feeling very anxious. And someone remarked, you know, if this was Tesla FSD, the driver would take over and they would get out of the situation. They would consider that a critical intervention. In Waymo, it's not a critical intervention. It's not even a remote intervention. It's just the car doing something weird, right? So the way we kind of compare these things is not exactly apples to oranges. If you do a fair test, you know, just drop the cars in a random place and have them both drive, the Tesla is going to beat the Waymo today, which a lot of people don't understand. So, really, what do you think is going to happen first? Is Tesla going to get to driverless first? Or is Waymo going to be able to sell you a driverless car that can drive anywhere? And I think the answer is the former. Tesla is actually going to get to driverless first.
Great. Thank you very much. Next question. Is Tesla close to finalizing an FSD licensing deal with a major automaker? I don't think so. That kind of died out too. We haven't heard about that in a while. Musk's public support for polarizing politicians led to a negative perception of Tesla's brand and division among consumers and investors. Does the board plan to ensure his political engagement doesn't detract from Tesla's core mission and protect shareholder value and brand integrity?
No, the board does not plan to do that.
Yeah.
They plan to allow him to continue to tweet.
I actually asked a similar question to Elon directly, and he pointed to the record sales. And he's right. Q3 sales are record, and Q4 sales are going to be great too after the deals they introduced last night.
Yeah, Q4 record sales are in the card as well. I think
Yeah.
they're trending in that direction. So, I mean, the fact is they've never sold more cars in the third quarter than they just sold. The market is challenging, and they've continued to dominate. So, a lot of people have been criticizing Elon. They've been saying, "Oh, Elon, you're the reason why things are challenged. It's because of your tweets. It's because of your poor management. You don't know what you're doing." Look at how they've managed the company through this compared to their peers. Look at Rivian, look at Lucid, look at GM, look at Ford, and look at Tesla. I mean, they've actually managed the company through this very volatile auto market extremely well, I think.
Exactly. You know, Stellantis was seen as a great company as recently as last year. They were putting up record profits, and that's only because they raised their prices quite a lot and took advantage of this shortfall in production during COVID years. And but that's blowing up on their faces now this year. Their stock is way down to COVID levels, the depths of the COVID, and they're seeing profitability decline, sales decline, market share losses. I think their sales in Europe were down more than 25% in September versus September from a year ago. And GM just announced earnings this morning, I believe, and their stock is up, but they're showing again higher sales, higher profits, just like Stellantis was last year. But if you look at their sales, down 9% from a year ago period. So I think they're trailing Stellantis's road path by about a year, and they're going to see the same result there too. I don't think people have realized just yet what Tesla's drastic price cuts across the world, across all models in early 2023 means to the automotive industry. I think the impact of that is going to pan out over the coming years. We're 1.5 years into it. If you think about it, people are kind of stuck in their leases for 2-3 years. So we should be seeing the impact of early 2023 price cuts by the end of 2025, 2026. Right around the time as Tesla is going to be increasing the production of more affordable models across the world, and FSD is going to be improving at a very rapid rate to it, and the take rate should be improving too. So I think 2026 for Tesla is shaping up to be a really, really incredible year and an eye-opening year for a lot of automotive industry observers. Okay, next question. What's the status of delivering Cybertruck wheel caps and installing off-road light bars? I think we got recent updates on that, so let's skip that.
They are starting to deliver those now, so
yeah,
we're
exactly.
kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel of questions here.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm honestly curious what else is out there, because there are more than 2,200 questions that people submitted. 2,200 questions. That's incredible. It's also, I think, informative for Tesla Live speakers to see these questions too, because look at this question. 328 people voted for this question. 328 people want to know the answer to this question. So, yeah. How does Tesla plan on resuming vehicle sales growth for 2025, and what would those projections be? We already talked about this, a similar question early on. What's the plan for 2025? Remember that one? Do you still believe Hardware 3 is enough for unspread? We already answered this as well. How does Tesla plan to scale the production of the Robotaxi to meet the anticipated demand, especially considering the unique manufacturing requirements for full autonomy features? And what innovations in manufacturing processes or supply chain strategies are being implemented? What do they mean by considering unique manufacturing requirements for full autonomy features, do you think?
I'm not sure. Maybe they're talking about the unbox process, but
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That's not related to autonomy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, some of these questions are just not very clear. I mean, honestly, if you want your question to be upvoted, you probably want to make sure the question is at least clear, efficient. Recommend people to use one of their favorite chatbot to get their questions more efficient. Okay, FSD adoption is critical. 1 month trial doesn't align with new versions. Someone who tried it 6 months ago hasn't experienced 12.5.5. Have you considered a 1-day free trial or 100 free miles per month to create a recurring trial funnel and drive stronger cohort conversions? Interesting idea. What do you think?
Absolutely, I think they should give one free drive, a week or something like that with
Or
FSD,
maybe
whether
with
you pay for it or not.
one free drive with each update, like a major update or a minor update.
No, I mean, just give them one free drive every week. Let them start using it. What's the harm? If someone really likes it, one drive is not going to be enough for them. It's like, the crack dealer. The first hit is free, right?
Yeah. All right. Is 20 million cars by 2030 still a goal? I think Elon's betting the company on FSD and autonomy at this point. I don't know if car production, unit production, is a top priority for the company. What do you think?
I mean, I think to really achieve their autonomy ambitions, they're going to need high levels of production. I think getting to 20 million units or at least 10 million units by 2030 is going to be a goal. They are going to want, I think really they're aiming to be the highest volume manufacturer of vehicles in the world. So even achieving half that goal, I think would be enough to do it. Just because we've had a period where growth hasn't been high, or actually, we're probably going to see year over year deliveries decline this year. Doesn't mean the long term trajectory is not going to be one of growth. I think with new vehicle models, more affordable models, things like the Cybercab, you're going to see it be able to hit price points it's never hit before. And that should enable further volume growth. You know, they're talking about 3 million units potentially once this new vehicle's ramped. So I don't think they've given up on being a high volume manufacturer just because the last year hasn't seen them follow their 50% CAGR guidance.
All right, very good. Thank you. Tomorrow, by the way, we're going to have a watch party for the earnings release. We're going to have our regular space at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, and then follow that with a watch party for the earnings release as well on YouTube. So head over to YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel, be a part of that watch party. All right, next question. Let's do this five more minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Is the Cybertruck meeting your warranty goals, and are there issues where people's trucks become unresponsive and require towing fixable via future software improvements? Every production ramp has its problems, but Tesla solves them one by one. And from what I see, Cybertruck owners are very happy with the product. I mean, we have Omar on here too. Omar, have you had any
Yeah.
issues with the Cybertruck so far?
I haven't had any major issues. I mean, obviously it's in the shop right now getting repaired after someone hit it, but in terms of the reliability of the truck, haven't seen anything like that. I have seen other people have some issues at times, you know, new product, things are more likely to go wrong, early adopter issues, but I don't see anything that's out of line with the introduction of the Model 3, the Model Y. I wouldn't worry about warranty or anything like that. You often see FUD about these types of things when Tesla does a new vehicle, but uh, this is a really great vehicle and it's going to exceed the reliability of the Model 3 and the Model Y.
All right. Three more questions. With the launch of the Cybercab, Robovan, and Optimus being over a year away from the start of production, why unveil them now and risk giving the competition time to copy the design? Why did we have the We Robot event now? Omar, what do you think? Interesting question.
Yeah, let's just copy the design. Oh, wait. How do we get a vehicle without a steering wheel to actually work? That's the part that's not so easy to copy. So I think really taking the cover off these vehicles and showing them simplifies things. These vehicles are going to require a lot of on-road testing, and you can't it's a little bit of a hassle to have to cover them up and camouflage them, and you don't want people to find out about it from seeing it on the street or from a social media leak. You want to announce it officially. So now that these are unveiled, we know that these are going to be the new vehicles. We've seen Tesla's design there. They can now start testing it on the road. They've taken the cover off. I mean, this is probably a smaller time from unveil to start of production than most Tesla vehicles. Like, I think it'll be shorter than the Cybertruck time of unveil to production for sure. So it was time to unveil them, time to show them off. They're going to be testing them on the road in advance of production. But they have, I think, another vehicle that's going to start production before this, which they haven't taken the covers off yet. And I think that's the part people are a little confused by. They're saying, well, why are you showing us these vehicles without controls that are so far off? And they're showing us these vehicles just to show us what their vision of the future is. But it doesn't mean that more near term, there aren't things like a new Model Y, a new, more affordable model, maybe even something like the Roadster that is also in the works.
All right, last two questions. The pizza at We Robot was awesome.
Oh my
Wow.
God, the food was so good there. It was
Really?
unbelievable. Yeah.
I haven't heard that feedback yet. Man, we're really digging deep in these questions. Will Tesla expand its drive-in diner business, and will Optimus work at the restaurant?
I like that 135 people with 160,000 Tesla shares agreed that the pizza was awesome at We Robot.
All right, cool. All right, can you update us on the progress of localizing material sources for the 4680 cells used in Cybertruck battery pack such that it will qualify for the 75 point of sale credit? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a pretty good chance that point of sale credit is going to go away. So if you want to take advantage of it, now is the time to buy your Tesla.
Yes. Buy a Tesla now while they're still giving 7,500 off. It's an incredible deal. I took advantage of it myself for the Model 3 Performance. Don't wait until November when everyone's going to be rushing to get a car and you're picking the last car left on the lot with like its mirror falling off. Order it now, take advantage of it now while we still know we have these amazing deals.
Yeah, point of sale credit, 0% APR, $1,000 off new inventory cars. It just won't get any better than this for a while. Okay,
These are the best deals Tesla has ever offered in their history.
ever.
The fact that you can buy a $35,000 new Model 3 with a screen in the back, with ventilated seats that goes nearly 400 miles on the city. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Compare this to the $35,000 car they unveiled in 2017, which was supposed to have 220 miles of range. And what this thing can do with FSD hardware for everything. I mean, the Tesla team should be really proud of this product they're putting out.
Very good. Okay, let's leave it there. Omar, thank you very much for joining at the short notice. And thank you, Uzi, Hustletown, JC, and everybody else in YouTube live chat for engaging with the audience, answering follow-up questions. This has been great. A new format we tried. We had record amount of audience. Please like and subscribe to YouTube channel. And if you're watching on X, like and share it with your followers so that we can grow Tesla Live. Earlier today, we had a great episode 207 with the founder and CEO of a wireless charging company, in which we learned quite a bit of detail that we're going to go over in coming episodes as well. The bigger this Tesla Live becomes, the more founders, CEOs we can attract, experts, industry experts we can attract and have detailed conversations. We can bring to you more insightful conversations that way. So with your help, we're going to get to there in the coming months. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll chat with you all tomorrow. Take care.